I was 65 years old when my daughter tried to bury me alive. Not with a shovel. Nothing that honest. Sarah wanted to lock me away in a nursing home, drain my accounts, and let me rot while she sold everything I'd spent 28 years building. The crazy part? I saw it coming for 8 months. I watched her plan it, recorded every word, and when Christmas dinner came around, I let her think she'd won. Then I took everything from her instead. My name is Vincent Castellano. I spent 28 years with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, tracking down people who stole from those who trusted them most. I put away sons who embezzled from family businesses, nephews who forged their uncles' signatures, business partners who cleaned out joint accounts. I learned one thing in all those years. Betrayal always follows the same pattern: greed, rationalization, opportunity, action. I just never thought I'd see that pattern in my own daughter. Catherine died 3 years before all this started. Lung cancer. Never smoked a day in her life, but genetics don't care about fair play. Sarah was 31 when we buried her mother. She cried at the funeral, held my hand during the service, told me she'd always be there for me. For a while she was. Sarah called twice a week those first 6 months, visited once a month, brought Derek, her husband of 5 years. I never liked him much, but Catherine had. Actually, that wasn't entirely true. The first time Derek met Catherine, he brought tulips, her favorite, and asked about her teaching career, listened when she talked about her students. At their wedding, he cried during his vows, said Sarah was the best thing that ever happened to him. Catherine told me after the reception, "He loves her, Vincent. Give him a chance." I did. For 5 years, Derek was a decent son-in-law. Helped me reshingle the garage roof one summer. Sent thoughtful birthday cards. The gambling started after his real estate firm downsized in 2021. Or maybe it started before, and I just didn't see it. Either way, by the time Catherine died, Derek had changed. The Polish was still there, but underneath, rot. The visits tapered off after that first year, once every 2 months, then quarterly. By year 3, I only saw them on holidays. I didn't push it. Sarah had her own life. That's how it's supposed to work. I lived alone in a 4-bedroom house in Alexandria, Virginia, 15 minutes from Quantico. Bought it in 1998 for $340,000, worth about $950,000 now, paid off completely. Had my bureau pension, Social Security, and a retirement portfolio that Catherine and I had been building since the 90s. Nothing extravagant, but comfortable. The kind of security you earn by showing up to work for 28 years and not doing anything stupid with your money. I stayed sharp, walked 3 miles every morning, read the Post cover to cover, did the crossword, played chess online, volunteered at the local library twice a week. My doctor said I had the blood work of a 50-year-old. I wasn't some confused old man who couldn't balance a checkbook. That's what made Sarah's plan so insulting. It started in April. Derek showed up unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon, said he was in the neighborhood and wanted to grab lunch. We went to a diner off King Street. He ordered a Reuben, barely touched it, and spent 40 minutes asking questions about my finances. How was I managing the house on my own? Did I have someone helping with bills? Had I thought about what would happen if I got sick? Ever considered a retirement community? I'm FBI. I've interrogated cartel accountants and hedge fund fraudsters. I know when someone's running a script. "I'm fine, Derek," I said. "House is paid off. Bills are automated. I've got a financial advisor I've worked with for 20 years. Just making sure you're not overwhelmed," he said, flashing that realtor smile. Catherine handled a lot of the household stuff, right? Sometimes after a spouse passes, people struggle with, "I'm not struggling." He backed off after that, paid for lunch, drove away in a leased BMW 5 Series that probably cost more than he could afford. I went home and started thinking. Sarah called that Friday. asked if Derek had stopped by. Yeah, I said. He took me to lunch. Good. He was worried about you. We both are, Dad. That house is a lot for one person. I like the house. I know, but what if something happens? What if you fall? What if you have a stroke? I have life alert. I have neighbors. I'm 65, not 90. Dad, we're just trying to help. I didn't ask for help. Silence on the line. Then, okay, sorry. I'll let you go. She hung up before I could say anything else. That night, I sat in the kitchen and thought about Catherine. She used to tell me I was paranoid. 28 years hunting criminals will do that, she'd say. Not everyone's running a con, Vincent. But Catherine also used to say, trust, but verify. So I verified. I called Margaret Huang on Monday. She's been my attorney for 15 years, estate planning, taxes, the boring stuff that keeps you out of trouble. I told her about Derek's questions and Sarah's sudden concern. You think they're positioning? Margaret asked. I think Derek's in financial trouble and Sarah's looking for solutions. You want me to tighten things up? Yeah. Irrevocable trust, everything locked down. Co-trustees, you and Dominion Trust Company. Nobody touches anything without both signatures. Including Sarah? Especially Sarah. Margaret didn't argue. Lawyers who work with ex-FBI don't waste time on sentiment. I'll draft the documents. Should be ready in 2 weeks. One more thing, I said. I want cameras. Can you recommend a firm? For the house? Yeah. Vincent, you really think your daughter would? I think I want to know what I'm dealing with. She gave me a name. I made the call that afternoon. The security company sent a tech out 3 days later. Former Secret Service guy named Paul Hendricks. I told him what I wanted. Coverage of every entry point, every room except the bathrooms, cellular backup, encrypted cloud storage with off-site servers, motion-activated night vision, audio recording. That's a lot of surveillance for a residential property, Paul said. I spent 28 years with the Bureau. I don't do half measures. He installed 12 cameras over 2 days, pinhole lenses in smoke detectors, wall outlets, picture frames. You'd never spot them unless you knew what to look for. Everything fed to an encrypted server managed by Margaret's firm. Real-time upload. If someone cut the power or smashed the router, the footage was already safe. Paul finished on a Friday. That Sunday, I invited Sarah and Derek over for dinner. They arrived at 6. Sarah brought wine, a $40 bottle of Merlot she'd probably Googled on the drive over. Derek wore khakis and a polo shirt, like he was auditioning for a country club membership. We ate lasagna. I asked about work. Derek said business was challenging but promising. Sarah talked about her marketing job, some campaign for a dental practice in Fairfax. Normal conversation, nothing suspicious. Then Derek circled back. Vince, I've been thinking about our conversation at lunch, he said. Have you considered estate planning, making sure everything's in order? I've got to trust. Everything's handled. Sure, but have you looked at it recently? Tax laws change. You might be leaving money on the table. My attorney keeps it updated. Margaret Huang, right? She's good, but she's more of a generalist. I know a guy who specializes in elder estate law. I'm not elderly, Sarah cut in. Dad, Derek's just trying to help. We want to make sure you're protected. Protected from what? From complications. If something happened to you, we'd have to deal with probate, taxes, all that bureaucracy. It's easier if you set things up now. I looked at her. Really looked. Sarah had Catherine's eyes, hazel, sharp, always scanning for angles. But Catherine used that sharpness to build things. Sarah was using it to dismantle. I'll think about it, I said. We finished dinner. They left by 9. I watched the recording 3 times that night. Over the next months, I watched them work. June. Sarah visited twice. Both times she steered conversation toward my health. Had I been to the doctor? Was I taking my medications? Did I ever feel confused or forgetful? Dad, I'm just worried. You seem distracted lately. I wasn't distracted. I was documenting. July, Derek showed up with brochures for active adult communities in Northern Virginia, places with names like Autumn Ridge and Silver Springs. Just to have on hand, he said, for when you're ready. I thanked him and threw them in the recycling after he left. The cameras caught Sarah going through my file cabinet that same visit while I was in the bathroom. She photographed bank statements with her phone. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Sarah at 12, the year Catherine lost her teaching job. Money was tight. Sarah wore hand-me-downs, told kids at school she liked vintage clothes. Catherine cried about it. Sarah hugged me one morning and said, "Dad, we're gonna be okay." Now that same kid was photographing my bank statements, calculating what she could take. I found myself in Sarah's old bedroom at 2 a.m., sitting on the carpet where she used to play with her dollhouse. Catherine had saved it in the closet, wrapped in plastic, waiting for grandchildren that never came. I left the room and locked the door. Didn't go back. August, they brought a friend to dinner. Marcus Brennan, financial advisor, 50s, expensive suit, handshake like a wet fish. He spent 2 hours pitching wealth management services and asking invasive questions about my portfolio. How much do you have in equities? What's your cash position? Have you thought about long-term care insurance? I told him I was satisfied with my current setup. After they left, I ran a background check. The name hit me like a freight train. Marcus Brennan. I'd mentored him 15 years ago when he was a junior analyst at a firm where I consulted post-bureau. Smart kid. Hungry. I wrote his recommendation letter for his Series 65 license. Invited him and his wife to our house for Thanksgiving in 2008. Catherine liked him. That young man's going places, Vincent. She was right, just not the places we thought. In 2019, Marcus stole $340,000 from 4 elderly clients, small amounts over 2 years, betting they wouldn't notice. One of them was a widow with early-stage Alzheimer's. Her son discovered it during an audit. Marcus settled with the SEC for $140,000, lost his license, avoided jail time. I'd followed the case from a distance, felt sick reading the details, told myself it wasn't my fault. I couldn't have known. Now he was sitting at my dinner table, recruited by my daughter, selling me the same con he'd perfected on people who trusted him. Sarah didn't just hire a con man. She hired someone who knew me, knew how I thought, knew exactly what buttons to push. That took planning. That took malice. September. Marcus returned. This time he brought documents, a power of attorney agreement that would give Sarah control of my finances in case of incapacity. "It's just a safety net," Sarah said. "We're not trying to take over. We just want to make sure someone can pay your bills if you're in the hospital." The document was 12 pages. I told them I'd have my lawyer review it. "Why do you need a lawyer, Dad? You don't trust me?" "I trust Margaret to explain what I'm signing." Derek's jaw tightened. Sarah touched his hand, stopped him from saying whatever he was about to say. They left the documents. I read them that night. The POA was immediate and irrevocable. Once I signed, Sarah could sell property, move assets, make medical decisions. Everything. No checks, no balances, no expiration. I called Margaret the next morning. "This is a financial mugging," she said after reading it. "If you signed this, they could empty your accounts in 48 hours. Can you block it?" "Already blocked. Your trust supersedes any POA. But Vincent, they're not going to stop." "I know. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to let them finish." October. Derek stopped pretending to be polite. He called me twice, voice tight with frustration, asking why I hadn't signed the POA. "My lawyer advised against it," I said. Your lawyer's protecting her fees, Vince. She doesn't want you making decisions without her. Probably. You're being unreasonable. Maybe. Sarah's trying to help you, and you're treating her like a criminal. I didn't say that. You're implying it. I let him vent for 5 more minutes, then said I had to go. He slammed the phone down hard enough that I heard it through the receiver. The cameras caught them that night, sitting in my driveway for 20 minutes before driving away. Sarah was crying. Derek was yelling. I couldn't make out the words, but I didn't need to. November. Sarah came alone. She apologized for Derek's call, said he was under a lot of stress. Work stress? I asked. Yeah, and other things. What other things? She hesitated. He made some bad investments. We're in a tough spot financially. How tough? We owe about $105,000. To who? Credit cards mostly. Some personal loans. I didn't ask about gambling. I already knew. I'd run Derek's financials in July. He'd been hitting tribal casinos in West Virginia every other weekend, losing anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 per trip. I'd also quietly paid off $107,000 of his debts through a third-party firm, routing the payments so he'd never trace them back to me. I wanted Derek desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. That's rough, I said. But it's your problem, not mine. Dad, we're not asking for money. Good. We're just asking you to protect yourself. What if something happens to you and we have to go through probate? It'll take years. We could lose everything. You mean I could lose everything? That's not what I... Sarah, I'm not signing anything. Drop it. She left without saying goodbye. December 15th. Sarah called. Her voice was different, bright, cheerful, like we'd never argued. Dad, Derek and I want to host Christmas dinner this year. At your place since you have more room. You want to cook at my house? Yeah, I'll bring everything. You don't have to lift a finger. Just a nice family dinner, like old times. I thought about saying no, but I'd been watching this play for 8 months. Time to see the final act. Sure, I said. What time? 6 o'clock. See you then. Christmas Day, 5:30 p.m. I put on a blue Oxford shirt and khakis like I was dressing for any other holiday dinner. My .357 revolver was locked in the safe upstairs. I wasn't expecting violence, but I wasn't stupid either. I'd called my neighbor, retired Marine named Bill Kowalski, and told him to check on me around 8 if he saw Derek's car still in the driveway. You expecting trouble? Bill had asked. I'm expecting disappointment. The cameras were rolling. Margaret's firm had been monitoring the feed remotely for 3 weeks under my instructions. If anything happened, there'd be timestamps and backups. Sarah and Derek arrived at 5:50 p.m. Marcus Brennan walked in behind them. Surprise, Sarah said, carrying a foil-covered casserole dish. I invited Marcus to join us. Hope that's okay. Fine, I said. We ate pot roast. Sarah had actually cooked it. I'll give her that much. The conversation was carefully pleasant. Marcus complimented the house. Derek talked about a big deal closing in February. Sarah asked if I'd watched any good movies lately. Then, over dessert, Marcus made his move. Vincent, I've been working with Sarah and Derek on their finances, he said. They're in a tough spot, but I think we can turn things around. Good for them. The thing is, part of their financial stress is worry about you. If something happened, God forbid, they'd be stuck dealing with estate issues while grieving. It's a terrible burden. I've told them everything's handled. Right, but your current setup is complicated. Trusts are great, but they can be slow. A simple POA would give Sarah the ability to act immediately if needed. He slid a new document across the table. Same 12 pages, different letterhead. We had it redrafted by an elder law specialist, Sarah said. It's completely standard. I picked it up, skimmed the first page. Same trap, new wrapping. I'll have Margaret review it, I said. Derek's fork hit his plate. You keep saying that. Why won't you just trust your daughter? I do trust her. Then sign it. After my lawyer reviews it. Bullshit. You're stalling because you think we're trying to screw you. Derek, Sarah started. No, I'm done tiptoeing around this. Your dad's treating us like criminals. We're trying to help, and he acts like we're stealing from him. I set the document down. Are you? Silence. Marcus shifted in his chair. Sarah's face went pale. Derek stared at me, eyes narrow. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Derek said. It's a simple question. Are you trying to steal from me? You're out of your mind. Am I? You've spent 8 months pushing me to sign over power of attorney. Sarah's been photographing my bank statements. Marcus here lost his Series 65 license for embezzlement. And you. I looked at Derek. You owe $107,000 to credit card companies and private lenders, most of it from gambling losses at Charlestown Casino. Derek stood up, his chair scraped back. You've been spying on us? I've been paying attention. You crazy old bastard. Sit down, Derek. Screw you. He reached for the documents on the table, maybe to rip them up, maybe just out of anger. But I'd already moved them out of reach. I know what you're planning, I said quietly. You want to declare me incompetent, get conservatorship, sell this house, and split the money. You've already talked to a realtor about listing it for $1.1 million. You found a nursing home in Fredericksburg that costs $6,500 a month. You figured you'd stick me there, burn through my cash, then liquidate the house and investments. I'd die in a shared room while you two paid off Derek's debts and bought a bigger place. Sarah's hands were shaking. Dad, we would never. I have 8 months of recordings, I said. Every conversation, every visit. Sarah going through my files. Marcus pitching fraud disguised as estate planning. Derek on the phone with a realtor asking about properties coming available soon. You even joked about me being an old fool who wouldn't see it coming. That last part hit. Sarah's face crumpled. 8 months, I repeated. You want to know the worst part? I paid Derek's debts myself, $107,000, routed through a private firm so you'd never know. I was going to tell you at Christmas, wipe the slate clean, give you a fresh start. Derek's face went gray. But you couldn't wait, I said. You got greedy, and now here we are. Marcus stood up slowly. I think I should go. Sit down, Marcus. He sat. Derek lunged. Not at me, at the table. He grabbed his coffee cup and hurled it. I ducked. It shattered against the wall behind me, ceramic shards spraying across the kitchen floor. You sanctimonious prick. Derek was screaming now, face red, veins popping. You act like you're some hero. You paid our debts? With what? Money you're going to die with? You're 65. You've got 20 years left, Max. That money's wasted on you. Sarah was crying. Derek, stop. No, he's been screwing with us for months. Sarah was staring at me, mascara running, and for half a second I saw my little girl, 7 years old, crying because she'd lost her stuffed rabbit at the zoo. Catherine and I had driven back at closing time, searched with flashlights, found it under a bench near the penguin exhibit. Sarah had hugged that rabbit so tight. Dad, she whispered now, voice breaking. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Didn't mean what? I asked quietly. Didn't mean to plan this for 8 months? Didn't mean to hire Marcus? Didn't mean to sell your mother's jewelry on Facebook? Her face went white. Yeah, I said. I know about that too. Catherine's pearl necklace, the one her mother gave her. You listed it for $800. Sold it in 3 days. Sarah made a sound like a wounded animal. I wanted to stop. Wanted to tell them to leave. Forget this ever happened. Pretend we could salvage something. But Catherine's voice was in my head. Some people will take everything if you let them. Don't let them, Vincent. I pulled out my phone. Dialed 911. kept my eyes on Derek. The operator answered. 911. What's your emergency? This is Vincent Castellano, 8247 Dartmouth Lane, Alexandria. I need police at my residence. My son-in-law just assaulted me. Sir, are you injured? No, but he's still in my house and refusing to leave. Derek backed up, hands raised. You're insane. You're actually insane. Officers are on the way, Mr. Castellano, the operator said. Stay on the line. I stayed on the line. Sarah was sobbing now. Marcus looked like he wanted to melt through the floor. Derek stood in the middle of the kitchen, breathing hard, staring at me like I'd just murdered someone. Dad, please, Sarah whispered. We'll go. We'll leave. Just don't do this. It's already done. The police arrived 7 minutes later. Bill Kowalski appeared in his doorway across the street, saw the cruisers, caught my eye. I nodded. He nodded back and went inside. The trial took 11 months. Derek and Sarah were charged with attempted elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud, and a handful of related counts. Marcus took a plea deal, testified against them in exchange for probation and restitution. His testimony was damning. The prosecution played the recordings in court. Every conversation, time-stamped and authenticated. Sarah crying on the stand didn't help. They also played the clip of her laughing with Derek about me being an easy mark. Derek showed zero remorse. Blamed me for entrapping them. Said I'd manufactured the whole situation by spying on my own family. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Derek got 6 years. Sarah got 4. I sold the house 3 months after sentencing. Couldn't stay there anymore. Too many ghosts, Catherines, and the daughter I thought I had. Bought a condo in Annapolis, right on the water. 2 bedrooms, corner unit, view of the harbor. I wake up at dawn, make coffee, watch the boats. It's quiet. I volunteer with AARP's fraud prevention program now. Talk to senior groups about financial scams, warning signs, how to protect yourself. I tell them my story. Not all of it, but enough. Some of them cry. Some of them thank me. One guy said, I'd never have the guts to send my own kid to prison. I told him it wasn't about guts. It was about survival. Sarah writes me letters from Alderson, federal prison camp in West Virginia, minimum security. She's been writing since month 3. The first few blamed Derek, said he manipulated her, pressured her, that she never really wanted to hurt me. I don't write back. Margaret sends a standard response. Mr. Castellano has received your correspondence. That's it. No promises, no olive branches, no hope. Sarah's latest letter said she's been in therapy. Says she understands now what she did, how wrong it was, how she destroyed everything. She asks if I'll visit. Says she wants to apologize in person. I haven't answered that one either. Maybe in 10 years. Maybe never. I don't know yet. Last week at the harbor, I watched a father teach his daughter to fish. She couldn't have been more than 8, kept tangling her line. He knelt down, showed her again, patient as sunrise. You've got it, sweetheart. Just takes practice. She got it on the next cast, squealed with pride. He hugged her, kissed the top of her head. I watched them until they packed up and left. Then I walked back to my condo, made coffee, and sat on the balcony. The water was gray-blue, calm. A sailboat drifted past, white sails full. Catherine used to say, "We can't control what people do to us, Vincent, only what we do with what's left. What's left is this: a quiet morning, good coffee, and the knowledge that I survived. Some days, that's enough. Today, it's enough." I still carry a photo of Sarah in my wallet. She's 7 years old, gap-toothed, holding a snowball in Rock Creek Park. Catherine's blurred in the background, mid-laugh, snow in her hair. That's the daughter I mourn. The one I thought I'd raised. The woman in prison? I don't know her, and I'm not sure I want to.